Closing arguments are presented during the Leslie Chance murder trial. The Michaele Bowers murder trial has the accused planning to take the stand in her own defense. And the California Highway Patrol searching for a car they say caused a serious crash. This is 17 News at noon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maddie Jansen. You've been watching an NBC News special report of the Senate impeachment trial of President Donald Trump. First, the Senate's expected to vote on a resolution setting the rules for the trial. And under that resolution, House impeachment managers will deliver their case against President Donald Trump first. They'll begin tomorrow at around 10 a.m. our time. After that, the president's legal team will go on to present his defense. They filed a brief yesterday of what they were expected to say, indicating they believe the president did absolutely nothing wrong and should be swiftly acquitted. Now, we are carrying the trial live on our website, KGET.com, as well as our Facebook page. They just took a quick 15-minute break, so they are expected to resume shortly. We will rejoin coverage here on TV 17 as well after the news at noon. But on to local headlines this morning. In your court watch, prosecutors are delivering their closing arguments in the Leslie Chance murder trial. The former principal stands accused of killing her husband, Todd, in 2013. 17's Vanessa Dillon has been in the courtroom all morning. She joins us now with what's been said so far. Vanessa?
Maddie, after weeks of detailed evidence and eyewitness testimonies, today might be considerably one of the most important days for both the prosecution and the defense. And while closing arguments just began a little bit earlier this morning, today's arguments will determine whether Leslie Janae Chance is found guilty of first-degree murder in the shooting death of her husband back in 2013. Now, the prosecution led this morning's closing arguments right after the judge walked the jury through juror instructions. Prosecutor Art Norris began with thanking the jury for their time invested in this trial. Norris told jurors his closing arguments were going to take some time, adding that this is a complicated case with a lot of complicated issues. From mapping out Chance's alleged alibi compared to what they believe she did the morning her husband's body was found in an almond orchard, to the missing gun in the Chance residence that has been deemed the murder weapon. Norris even talked about the Chance's two daughters, describing the entire scenario as a nightmare for any child, saying the painful position both daughters are in is comparable to a divorce in steroids. Now, Norris walked the jury throughout all of the evidence that has been supported in the prosecution's argument that Chance willfully murdered her husband for financial gain in 2013. But this alleged motive, which has shaped much of the prosecution's argument against Chance, was deemed secondary by Norris this morning. Norris told the jurors her primary motive in Todd's murder was Carrie Williams, Todd's ex-fiancee. A murder commitment, Norris says, was out of jealousy.
Money was there, it was an issue, but it was definitely a secondary one. The primary one was Carrie Williams. This was a murder committed out of jealousy.
Closing arguments are still happening as we speak, but our 17 News team is inside the courtroom right now documenting and making note of what prosecutors are saying. And right now they just broke for lunch. We will resume back at 1:30 this afternoon. We'll have all the very latest on closing arguments later at 17 News at 5. For now, reporting live outside downtown Bakersfield. In downtown Bakersfield, I'm Vanessa Dillon, 17 News.
All right, thanks so much, Vanessa. And our cameras are allowed in the courtroom during closing arguments, and our reporters are also still tweeting along live as those happen, so you can follow along on our KGT Twitter. Meantime, the woman accused of killing a popular local chef will take the stand in her own defense this afternoon. Michaele Bowers' trial began about 2 weeks ago. This is older video of the case because cameras are not allowed inside the courtroom for testimony in this case as well. On Valentine's Day 2017, Bowers shot and killed chef Ray Ingram, the owner of Jay's Place. Her defense attorney argues Ingram was abusive and threatened Bowers, and she shot him in self-defense. But prosecutors say Bowers killed him because she discovered he bought her and another woman the same gift for Valentine's Day. Bowers' first trial ended with a hung jury last year. Again, our cameras are not allowed in the courtroom, but our digital reporter Jason Katowski will be there this afternoon tweeting along with testimony. You can follow along live on our KGET Twitter page, and we'll have a full wrap-up of both cases tonight on 17 News at 5. The CHP is searching for a car that sideswiped a vehicle full of teens yesterday, seriously injuring 4 people. We first told you about the crash yesterday on 17 News at noon. It happened on Highway 178, where it connects with Golden State Avenue. CHP believes an early 2000s model Honda hit the car carrying the teens. Their car went off the freeway and slammed into a tree. All 4 had serious injuries. CHP says one of them was not wearing a seatbelt. The other driver took off. And we're learning more about what happened in another crash yesterday morning in the Oildale area. It happened just before noon on North Chester Avenue near Roberts Lane. CHP says the driver of a Nissan made an unsafe lane change and hit another car, then spun out of control, hit a third vehicle, and went over the center divider. It landed in oncoming traffic and was hit again. The Nissan's engine was ejected and landed in the McDonald's parking lot, where it hit yet another unoccupied vehicle. The driver of the Nissan received major injuries. 2 other people had minor injuries, and the crash remains under investigation. Homelessness is an issue we follow closely here at KGET. Tomorrow, the Bakersfield City Council is set to vote on a location for a new low-barrier homeless shelter. There are several locations for the proposed shelter. The first is on Brown Street. It costs about $6 million for the property. Another location is a $7 million site on property now owned by cotton grower Calcott on East Frontage Lane. Bakersfield City Council will also consider Wheel Park, despite some council members previously objecting to that location. The city hosted community meetings where people could voice their opinions on the proposed locations. If you'd like to attend, it starts tomorrow night at 5:15. And organizers are still looking for volunteers for this year's point-in-time homeless count in Kern County. They'll be taking a census survey Friday morning. To learn more about how to sign up to volunteer, visit our website, kget.com. Across California, lawmakers are hoping to learn more about how the state is spending money on homelessness. Governor Gavin Newsom wants to use more than $1 billion from the budget to help get the homeless off the streets. Some Republicans say California has already spent billions, and homelessness is still on the rise. The governor recently released $650 million in emergency aid. The Joint Legislative Audit Committee will consider and likely vote on the request February 19th. A 3-year-old boy is saved after being attacked by a mountain lion in Orange County. The mountain lion grabbed the child by the neck and dragged him away from his family just after 4 yesterday. The boy's father threw a backpack at the lion. The animal dropped the child and then snatched the bag before climbing up a tree. The boy was taken to the hospital and is now stable. The mountain lion was later tracked down and euthanized. The Bakersfield Police Department's asking for feedback on its recent crackdown on street racing. The department will hold a face-to-face community forum tonight to discuss the growing concerns over street racing and future plans to combat it. To give your input, just head over to Independence High School tonight at 6. When you make a New Year's resolution to eat healthier, are you already sabotaging yourself? How to choose a diet you can stick to in the long run. And when you slather on the sunscreen, you might get something you didn't sign up for. Your 17 Health Watch is after the break. We're back taking a look outside this afternoon near Rosedale and Mohawk. A beautiful day out there with a lot more sunshine than we've seen these last few days, as Alyssa promised. Let's go ahead and take a listen to her forecast.
A chilly day today, and the winds will be picking up as we head into this afternoon. So we do have a wind advisory in effect at 3 o'clock, and that will be for the mountains and deserts of Kern County. So we'll be watching for winds out of the west. That system that just passed last night, and then the one on the way will increase that pressure gradient. We'll be looking here for the winds out of the west, 20 to 30, gusting to 55. So it'll continue to be windy all the way through tomorrow morning in those areas. Let's take a look at the forecast here. By 5 o'clock this afternoon, the highest winds in the purple, and then lighter winds into the yellow indicating about 20, but the purple indicating 50. So we'll still see high winds as we head through the Grapevine even by 11 o'clock tonight. So keep that in mind if you are traveling. Maybe allow yourself some extra time. Today we started out at 45, and our normal afternoon high is 57. Hopeful that we will be a few degrees above that as we head into today. It's still going to be chilly, but But we do have a midweek warm-up on the way for Wednesday with fog possible too. And then our next storm system bringing rain Sunday and Monday. And we could see some heavier amounts throughout those 2 days. But let's talk about the here and now. High pressure building on in. We will still see some clouds today. I think those will clear out from time to time. So watching overall for some passing clouds, and then looking here for the system to the north to really remain north as it does try to push south with this cold front. We're not going to see any wet weather with it. So we'll continue to watch for dry days ahead. The high pressure building in with fog. And then by the time we reach late Saturday night, here's 12:30 a.m. Sunday, showers trying to creep on into Kern County. Notice the state looks wet with snow into the central Sierra and northern Sierra. And then Sunday morning, watching for snow too as we head into those higher elevations here of Kern County. So I'm not really expecting much in terms of snow here in our area, maybe over near Kernville and higher than that in the higher elevations, and northward we'll watch then for snow up near Yosemite. As we head into Monday, more of the same with some rain, and of course we're still several days out from this. Things are out of here by Tuesday, a dry day then. So that's still a week away, but that's what we have going on for the weekend. Temperatures today are going to be in the upper 50s, so 59 into Bakersfield, 58 in Porterville, 59 in Buttonwillow, 58 in Maricopa. Lows tonight will be into the lower 40s. Into the mountains, partly sunny, then windy. Temperatures around 47 in Pine Mountain Club, 50 in Fraser Park, 56 in Lake Isabella. Lows tonight back into the mid-30s, and then into the desert will be into the 50s today with lows in the upper 30s. Here's a sneak peek of the next 17 days. Next week, we have lower 60s still in the forecast, so maybe we'll finally get out of those chilly 50s, at least for the time being. Moderate air quality at 78, and no wood burning unless you are registered. So continuing to watch as visibilities throughout the day obviously are not going to be an issue with the fog. And we'll skip ahead here to that 7-day forecast. We'll be at 62 then on Wednesday. Fog will return here as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday. We'll be into the mid-60s, lows in the lower 40s. In the mountains, 49 today and windy, and then mid-50s the rest of the work week. Overnight lows in the upper 30s. There's that rain chance for Sunday and Monday. 56 today and windy, but 60s by Friday, 66 by Saturday. Have a great day, and I'll see you back here tonight at 5.
17 Health Watch this afternoon. Many of the active ingredients in sunscreen are being absorbed into the body. FDA researchers had 48 people apply sunscreen from 4 different products for a week. They found 6 active ingredients were absorbed at levels that were higher than the amount considered safe enough to avoid further testing. The scientists say the health impact of the findings remain unclear and more research is needed. However, they stress you should still continue to wear sunscreen, which helps prevent skin damage. There could be a possible link between marijuana use and heart disease. Researchers from Boston's Brigham and Women's Hospital reviewed data from a national health survey. Nearly 90 million reported using marijuana. 2 million of those adults also had heart disease. The experts say smoking marijuana carries many of the same heart health hazards that smoking tobacco does. This includes an increase of the heart rate and blood pressure and atrial fibrillation. The scientists also say using marijuana while on a statin or blood thinner can change how those drugs work in the body. The researchers say cardiologists should talk to their patients about the risks of using pot. We're almost through January, and some of you may still be trying to figure out how to stick to that healthy eating resolution you made. Hallie Pilot speaks to a nutrition expert who says sustainability is key.
You hear it from your friends all the time, and maybe you've even said it yourself. Lose 20 pounds by this date, drop 6 sizes by that date.
I'm guilty of it too, but those really aren't sustainable in the long run.
Food and nutrition guru Dr. Taylor Wallace says smaller, incremental goals are better.
Choosing food products that have optimal amounts of protein, that are high in dietary fiber, and that have healthy fats in your diet.
What about carbs and sugar? Should we avoid them entirely?
Sugar is a huge driver of both the obesity epidemic and heart disease, which is the #1 killer of Americans.
So he says to minimize sugar in your diet. As for carbs, it's not about cutting them out, just choosing the right ones.
Focus on fiber-rich carbs that are present in fruits, vegetables, and whole grain products.
He says try to stay away from simple carbohydrates,
what we call refined carbs,
found in things like white rice, white bread, and white flour pasta.
Those simple carbs are converted converted by our body to sugar during digestion. And we call this the hidden sugar effect.
The extra sugar gets stored in your body as fat. So instead of a bagel for breakfast, he says go for something high protein and low carb.
I love avocados. They have healthy fats. They're very rich in vitamins and minerals, which we need to sustain health.
Another idea, swap out French fries for baked turnip fries or lasagna noodles for zucchini, because Dr. Wallace says small changes add up.
The Mayo Clinic also suggests swapping out butter or margarine in baked goods with applesauce. I've done that before. It works really well. Boeing's 737 MAX is grounded, but for how long? An indication from the company regarding the controversial aircraft. Your 17 Business Watch is after the break.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
We're back in your 17 Business Watch and taking a look at stocks. Right now, the Dow is down 127 points so far in trading. The NASDAQ down 17, the S&P 500 down 6. Let's check out oil prices today as well. Those are also falling. West Texas Intermediate selling for $58.25 a barrel, and Midway Sunset started the day at $62.29. Boeing's 737 MAX is now officially on hold. The company confirmed late yesterday its Renton, Washington assembly line has stopped building the best-selling plane. The 737 MAX was grounded in March after 2 deadly crashes that killed 346 people. Although Boeing couldn't deliver the 737 planes to customers, the company was continuing to build the jets. It now has about 400 completed jets parked in Washington and Texas, waiting to be delivered to airlines around the world. Boeing hoped the plane would fly again before the end of 2019. But in December, the FAA's administrator said approval would not come until sometime in 2020. A week later, the shutdown plans were announced. Boeing does not plan to furlough or lay off workers because of the shutdown. This month, California enacted a law that could have big benefits for internet privacy, but some companies were left scrambling to avoid hefty fines. CNBC's Jane Wells has more.
California often tries to set national policy from the West Coast, whether it's auto emission standards or clean energy or how to classify workers in the gig economy. Starting January 1st, it set the new standard for internet privacy.
Know that you're going to have far more control and choice when it comes to your personal information than you've ever had.
This is a law that's really unprecedented in the United States.
By January 1st, companies doing business in California will have to make it clear on their home pages in this state what they do with customer data. There'll also have to be a button there so customers can opt out of those policies. They also have to make it clear to you how you can find out what data they have on you. Violators will face fines and lawsuits.
Many organizations are not going to be ready.
Consultant Andrew Shackstead says some companies may not realize they have to comply. Under the law, any business with at least $25 million in revenue, or which holds data on at least 50,000 customers, or which makes at least half its revenue selling customer data, has to obey the law. Your business does not have to be based in California. You just have to have at least one customer here. It's created a mini boom for the compliance industry.
There's certain governmental figures that place costs at about $50,000. For compliance, all the way up to $2.5 million for compliance for this one law.
Companies have been sending out emails warning Californians that change is at hand. Finally, what if President Trump, who has feuded with California over other policies, decides to step in on this one?
Do not undermine the ability for us in California to protect our consumers over the internet, and do everything you can to improve on what California is already doing.
As the tech capital of the world tries to protect its citizens from much of its own business model. For CNBC Business News, Jane Wells, Los Angeles.
Google's already changing when and how it sends out personalized ads, and Microsoft has plans to use California's law as a blueprint for its national privacy policy. But Facebook is reportedly pushing back on what it has to disclose, suggesting under the letter of the law, it's technically not selling information, just sharing it. Still ahead, the impeachment trial of President Donald Trump continues. We'll take you live to Washington and have a recap of what's happened so far. Welcome back. The impeachment trial of President Donald Trump is underway in Washington, while the man at the center of the fight is watching from Switzerland. We are carrying the proceedings live on our website, KGET.com, and our KGET Facebook page. You can go there to watch right now, and we will catch back up with them as soon as 17 News at noon is over. But first, let's catch you up on what's happened so far this morning. Jay Gray has more from Washington.
The Senate will convene as a court of impeachment.
Supreme Court Justice John Roberts calling to order a process that both sides say has been out of order and out of control for months.
Finally, some fairness.
A trial without evidence is not a trial. It's a cover-up.
The first day of this historic trial framed by a battle over procedure and drawn sharply along party lines.
The McConnell resolution will result in a rushed trial with little evidence in the dark of night.
House managers demanding more time and more opportunity for witnesses and new evidence. At least one Republican seems to agree.
Well, I think it's important to hear from John Bolton and perhaps other witnesses, obviously from both the defense as well as the prosecution.
The defense team calling the impeachment a brazenly political act, urging senators to speedily reject the articles. The president dismissing the proceedings altogether.
It's the witch hunt that's been going on for years, and it's disgraceful.
Oral arguments could begin Wednesday afternoon. Jay Gray, NBC News, Washington.
And those arguments will be presented not by the senators, but by House managers and the president's defense team. When we come back here on 17 News at noon, an interesting mishap with the app Waze. Welcome back. This may be a lesson on why you can't blindly follow a navigation app for directions. Recently, some drivers found themselves not at their destination, but in the wilderness. It happened in Atlanta. Instead of getting them to their hotel, an ad on the Waze app took drivers on a 45-minute detour, landing them in the middle of a 12,000-acre wildlife area where drivers eventually ended up on unpaved roads and broke down. Police telling drivers to take extra care when selecting locations listed with the orange ad logo.
Senator Schumer's amendment.
All right, finally here on 17 News at noon, again, the impeachment trial of President Donald Trump got underway about 2.5 hours ago in Washington. You're looking live at an NBC News special report carrying this trial where senators are debating the rules of how it will go from here on out. We're going to be rejoining that NBC News special report momentarily. You can also watch live on our website, KGET.com, and we'll have a full wrap-up tonight on 17 News at 5, as well as our impeachment wrap show at 6:45 online exclusively.
17 News, your local news leader, continues 24 hours a day on KGET.com and our 17 News app. In the spirit of the Golden Empire, 17 News,